He's done it! Victor Axelsen becomes world champion! Victor Axelsen has done it! He's done it! A 7th Super 1000 tournament title. Victor Axelsen, the Olympic champion. He is the best player on the planet right now.
Victor Axelsen is the best badminton player in the world, and after analysing over 30 hours of his matches, we're going to share 5 reasons why.
Yeah, we're also going to give you an insight into what you can take from his game to implement into your own game to become a better badminton player. So let's get straight into it. Here's a crazy statistic for you. In 10 of Victor's recent matches against various players ranked in the top 10 in the world, 36% of his points came from hitting winning shots in his rear court attack. That's over 1 in every 3 points. This is crazy if you compare it to other top players like Li Zijie, who only won 28%, and he's known for his attack, or Anthony Ginting, who also only won 24% of his points on his attack. So 36% is very impressive, but why is his attack so good?
Well, firstly, Victor is 6'4" or 1.94 metres, and this helps him to get a lot of angle on his shots. And unfortunately, we can't teach you to be tall, but he does also optimise his technique for his attacking shots, which you can do too. If you watch him closely here, you can see that he really opens out his chest, and this allows for more rotation and an increased racket head speed, which helps him to power the shuttle into the floor at up to 400 kilometres an hour. But this open chest doesn't just allow him to create more power, it also helps him to create an identical preparation, no matter what shot he's hitting. Look at these 4 images. It looks like he's going to play the same shot, right? In fact, it could look like we've just inserted the same picture of Victor 4 times. But he actually plays 4 completely different shots.
But there's another thing that makes his attack so good, his unbelievable accuracy. And there's a big reason as to why his accuracy is so good, which we'll come back to a little later in the video.
Yes, so lesson number 1 that you can learn from Victor is to have an identical preparation in all of your shots and focus on your variety and accuracy to either put your opponents under pressure or just hit an outright winner. And you might now be wondering, yes, he has a ridiculous attack, but how does he get into these attacking positions? Why don't his opponents just not lift to him? Well, this brings us on to our second reason why Victor is so good, his shot selection.
So, if you did just ask the question, why don't his opponents not lift to him? This would be a valid question. But what makes him so good is that he's choosing to play shots that almost force his opponent to lift. For example, in the forecourt, he plays a lot of pushes to the service line. And because it's hard to play it tight to the net from here, most opponents will either push it back or lift it.
Yes, so he's almost eliminated an area of the court that his opponents can play to. Then, as you can see, he anticipates the lift by switching his feet so that he's faster moving backwards to hit an attacking shot, which, as we know, is often a winner. We actually saw Victor do these directional split steps a lot of the time in our research, and he does this intentionally to be faster to all 4 corners of the court. If he was only ever split-stepping side by side, then his movement would be much less efficient.
We also have another example of how Victor uses his shot selection to set up his attack. And this is that when his opponent hits a straight drop, he often anticipates this and quickly turns the shuttle cross-court to make his opponent move in a long diagonal. This often puts his opponent under a lot of pressure, forcing them to lift, and then boom.
A third example of his good shot selection is that depending on his opponent and the speed of the shuttles, Victor lifts a lot from the return of the low serve, 49% to be precise. And some people may argue that it's bad to lift this much off the return of serve, but this is a calculated choice as he wants to create opportunities to counter-attack. Now you might be thinking, isn't a low serve similar to a push to the service line, which we've just said is hard to play a tight net shot from? It is, but the difference here is that Victor is a lot earlier to the serve, making it easier to play this tight net shot.
But yeah, in general, Victor's shot selection is so good. He rarely goes for a hard drive or full smash if he's not in a good position. He'll use his pushes and lifts if he needs to build the rally, and he'll use his various angles in attack to really pressurise his opponents. And what's most impressive is that he's able to repeat these good choices again and again. And this leads us nicely onto our third reason why he's so good, his consistency.
Apart from being consistent in his training and doing all the right things for many years, he's also incredibly consistent on the court. In one of his recent matches against world number 2, Kento Momota, he won 21-4, 21-7, and he only made 5 unforced errors.
And you might think that was a one-off. Kento must have been injured or ill. Well, he's also recently beaten other world top 10 players to a similar scoreline, making an average of only 9 unforced errors in these matches. 9 might sound like a lot, and of course, in an ideal world, this number would be 0. But you have to remember that he's playing the best players in the world, where the margins are so small and you're forced into playing very accurate shots. Of course, Victor could get this number down to 0, but he'd have to play much safer shots, which will be punished at this top level.
So, because Victor rarely makes any unforced errors, this makes his opponents feel like they need to go for winners, which actually makes them hit more unforced errors. It's a genius strategy. This is maybe why in the recent match he played against Anthony Ginting, Victor hit 25 attack winners compared to Ginting's 11 winners. But Victor actually hit less attacking mistakes, making only 4 errors in his attack, rather than Ginting's 10. As we've said, this might be because Ginting felt like he had to go for winners, and he sometimes didn't go for his attack at the right time, both contributing to him being slightly less consistent.
And this is where all of our reasons that we've discussed so far link together. Victor's attack is so good because he almost always chooses to go for the attack winners at the right time. And because he's choosing to do these shots at the right time, he's more consistent.
It's not just his attack too, he's also very clever in other shots, like his pushes as we've covered, and also his lifting. He doesn't only ever lift when he's in a bad position and wants to give himself some time. He's lifting with a real purpose, with good height and accuracy, and he's happy to keep playing these safer shots to move his opponent around the court. And this topic of Victor's great consistency and shot accuracy is something that HK Vittingus and Anders Antonsen touched on in a recent episode of their Badminton Experience podcast, which we'll link to in the description below if you want to check it out.
So the biggest lesson that we can all learn from Victor's consistency is to reduce your unforced errors by choosing to play shots at the right time, and also by playing safer shots. What you define as safe really depends on your level.
Okay, our fourth reason as to why Victor is so good is his movement around the court and his physicality. We all know that badminton is a physical sport. You need assets such as speed, strength, power, endurance and agility. And comparing Victor from a few years ago until now, you can see that he's worked really hard in the gym. And this shows in his game. His strength enables him to not only move faster around the court, but also recover faster. Of course, there are faster players out there, like Anthony Ginting or Loh Kean-yew, but considering the size of Victor, his movement is extremely good.
So for example, in the first section, we mentioned that he switches his feet after he pushes the shuttle to get ready for the lift. But because his movement is so good, if his opponent did manage to play a tight net shot, then he has the speed and the skill to move forwards and play a good net shot back, and probably force his opponent to play a lift on the next shot. He also moves very efficiently around the court, and this helps him to get to the shuttle earlier and also save energy.
We're not going to go into too much detail on this point though, as we actually did a video on this last week, giving 5 tips on how you can improve your footwork efficiency and speed. And Victor does all of these 5 tips very well. We'll include a link to that in the description below.
This combination of his movement and the other 3 points we've mentioned so far are why he is so good. But we have one final point that seems to have elevated his game, and this is something that not many world-class players have: complete autonomy. Autonomy is defined as freedom from external influence or control, which Victor now has after moving his entire training setup to Dubai after the Tokyo Olympics.
From our perspective, it was a brave thing to do, but has enabled him to do exactly what he wants to do, and this control, both on and off the court, has definitely seemed to help him perform better. Since moving out to Dubai in August 2021, he's won 8 titles and only lost 3 of his last 47 matches. That's unbelievable.
And we're not saying you should move out to Dubai if you want to become the next Victor. In fact, moving away from a controlled training environment might not be the best choice for everyone, but Victor seems to be extremely professional with everything he does. So there's no doubt that even without a team of multiple coaches and members of staff around him, like he would have had in Denmark, he's continued that professional attitude. I mean, to give you an insight into this professional attitude, he even hired a private jet to return back to Denmark when he got COVID to help him get better rest, food and training in preparation for the Olympics.
Now, most people will think that to become the best in the world, you need to be thinking about badminton every second of the day. But we strongly disagree with this, and we'll quickly explain why. Firstly, drawing from our own personal experience of studying at university, working on several part-time jobs, and more recently creating this YouTube channel, we found that it's good to have other things to take your mind off the highs and lows of elite sport. And these projects can give you more autonomy and purpose in your life, and we've really found them to help our performance on court and not hinder it.
Yeah, and we can't speak for Victor, but he's learnt Chinese, has his own brand, VA Health, a YouTube channel, and also a daughter. All of these things can definitely be enjoyable and rewarding activities that help him take his mind off the sheer relentlessness of sport and have some much needed downtime. So throughout the video, we've mentioned a few key lessons that you can learn from Victor to try and implement into your own game. But we have 3 more quick tips we wanted to share that we've learned from watching him for many years.
Tip 1, you need to train with intensity and purpose. After watching Victor train several times and hearing from friends and other players that have trained alongside him, a big reason for his success is his relentless pursuit of excellence within this training environment. This is whether he's doing shot practice, training routines or matches, and there's no doubt that this intensity and purpose is why he has a very accurate attack, chooses the right shots, is very consistent and also moves extremely well. You've got to practice to perform.
Tip 2, you should invest in yourself. Whether this is trying to improve your diet, learning how to improve your sleep, or how to train better, these 1% differences can result in huge changes. Now, if you're not sure how to start investing in yourself, we have a great suggestion for you, joining Skillshare, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. Hopefully, in this video so far, you're learning from the pro, Victor Axelsen. And one reason we love Skillshare is because it has thousands of inspiring classes where you can learn directly from experts in their industries.
Yeah, we've watched classes from productivity experts on how to maximise our time and from filmmakers on how to improve our YouTube videos. And in one of our favourite classes from Ali Abdaal, he highlights the importance of making these 1% changes that we've just discussed.
If you think about kind of compound interest and compounding gains, if you can improve by 1% every day for a year, at the end of the year, you will be 37 times better than you were at the start.
So, with the knowledge that you should be investing in yourself and with the wide variety of expert classes on Skillshare, we'd highly recommend checking them out. If you are interested in joining, then the first 1,000 people to use our link in the description below will receive a 1-month free trial. Using our link helps to support our channel, so thank you in advance, and thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to how to become as good as Victor.
Tip 3 is to also have fun in your training, and this is something Victor has talked about a lot. Again, this is something we're big advocates of. So, practice with intensity and purpose, invest in yourself, and thirdly, enjoy the journey.
Whew, that was a big video. We hope you enjoyed our breakdown of why Victor is so good. And if you're now inspired to improve your game, then we'd recommend checking out one of these playlists here. And if you have enjoyed the video and found it insightful, then please give it a like, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll hopefully see you on another video very soon. Bye.
Bye.